Welcome inside Game Day, presented by Sight and Sound here at Schumann Stadium. Ball State fresh off a 31-21 win. I'm your host, Hudson French, alongside Ryan Klimcak. We're getting ready to take you through a few highlights here. Ryan, do the honors.
Well, first and foremost, I just think that this was a very gritty win for Ball State. I think Western Illinois really sent everything they could and played as hard as they could out there. And I know we talked about in the pregame show the size advantages that Ball State had. A lot of times when it's FBS versus FCS, you see the bigger, more physical team come out on top. And that was really the case with Ball State. And I was really impressed with the way they were able to work through some things offensively to start the first half, but then later on in the second half, you just saw their willingness really to run the football, and it was three different running backs that really got the job done for Ball State. It was just a really well-executed game plan, and for Western Illinois, dropping this one by 10, I still think they gave a fantastic effort, and it was just a really well-played game, I think, on both fronts. But really walking through the highlights of this one, Ball State, again, they were just trying to get the ground game going or really working out several different things in Drew Plitt, obviously so experienced for Ball State. He has had himself such a great career. I was a little bit surprised, Hudson, at how much Ball State was willing to pass the ball early on, as you see Plitt's touchdown pass to Justin Hall, and it was just a really good play. Justin Hall really gave this secondary for Western Illinois a lot of fits.
All day long. And, I mean, Ball State did struggle, a little bit after that, but for the most part, they were willing to do, little flats, little screens out here, just working what they could. And they're not showing all their plays. They're not showing all that they could, but Ball State did their thing. They stayed within their realm, and they were able to come out on top.
And the defense really rose to the occasion for Ball State. Connor Sampson, though, 30 for 43, 367 yards. You saw a couple plays ago that big pass by Sampson. But this offense for Western Illinois really impressed me and really did a good job of scoring against this very good and very experienced defense for Ball State. It was a very productive day on offense. I'd say for both teams, maybe not as high scoring as we thought, but 31-21 the final, and Drew Plitt really did a good job of facilitating this offense. We talked about it in the pregame show as well. He's really asked to do those intermediate passes and throw those intermediate passes, but the ground game for Ball State was just too much and overcame really a career day for Sampson. Just incredible. Again, 367 yards through the air. Just had a fantastic day. 2 touchdowns. There was his longest pass of the day, a 75-yard touchdown pass to his best wide receiver on the evening in Dennis Houston. Houston, 14 targets and had 237 yards on 12 receptions, 2 touchdowns. He was fantastic after the catch, but I think one thing we saw, Hudson, in that second half was when Ball State committed to the ground game, running through the tackles with their 3 great running backs. That really opened things up offensively for Ball State to go up over the top. And Sampson had a very good day, but you see here the interception by Sampson, a rare mental mistake by him. A good interception by Ball State. And how about the debut for Carson Steele? Just a great game for him on the ground. Wasn't really expecting him to play that much, but had 7 rushes for 79 yards as we look at the final stats, and it really was Ball State's ground game. I think that really was the best thing about this performance for Ball State, and changing their game plan from the adjustments they made when they realized this one would be a little bit closer than I think a lot of people thought. Ball State did a terrific job in that second half. And again, credit to Western Illinois overcoming or really giving Ball State fits in that first half, but ultimately the ground game for Ball State was just too much.
Yeah, and I think what we see from both teams is that they are who we thought they are, from the patterns that we observed before the game. The rushing game, the defense of Western Illinois we knew was not going to be, stout by any means. And you look at the passing game for Western Illinois, and Dennis Houston having 12 receptions, 237 yards. That's who Dennis Houston is. That's who we expected when we came into this game, knowing that they throw 300 yards a game, knowing that Ball State's secondary still has yet to put it together, especially with the loss of Antonio Phillips.
And I think these Ball State players and coaches would tell you that this is not their best effort
No.
or best game. They're working out some of the kinks that they had throughout the offseason and really just trying to get back on track. For Western Illinois, I was really surprised to see after the spring season for them to come out with a performance like they did today and make it close against Ball State, at least for the first 2.5 or so quarters, I think was really impressive. And the fans here at Schumann Stadium, this pretty packed stadium, were in for a real treat. And they got to see pretty good quarterback play mixed with that great ground game for Ball State. I know one of the first keys to the game we said in the pregame show was also really how well this offensive line would do. And I know I talked about the battle in the trenches for Ball State. And at the end of the day, it was the size and the ability and the talent. Eventually, talent Hudson just wins out at the end of the day in these types of matchups. And that's really what it was for Ball State that helped them come away with this pretty big win in their first game of the season.
Absolutely. Lots and lots and lots of football left. SportsLink Game Day postgame. We'll be right back. All right, we are back in SportsLink Game Day postgame with running backs coach Joey Hecklinski. It's good to see you. I imagine your spirits are up here after a nice 31-21 win.
Yeah, no, super excited to, just be back playing football. We've had a great fall camp, and it was nice to go out and hit a different opponent than our other guys. So excited for the win, and really excited to get in and watch this tape and make the necessary corrections and get going for game 2.
And what about Western Illinois kind of stood out to you, maybe that you didn't quite, prepare for or understand?
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, in a game 1 setting, there's going to always be something that they do that you haven't prepared for because we don't have any tape on them, even though they played in the spring. But they did a really nice job of trying to attack us and get extra guys in the line of scrimmage and in the fit. And really challenge us. And I thought our guys in the second half especially did an awesome job of rising to the occasion and establishing a physical presence and really taking over the game there in the second half.
Sure. And what exactly is the rotation? We saw, a deep running back room, and, we're still missing one to injury, of course. What was the kind of rotation you guys were going with, if you could explain that?
Yeah, I wanted to, with guys like Will and Donnie and then Carson coming in, who's had an awesome fall camp. Wanted to definitely start it off with Will, and he did a great job. So started with Will and Donnie, and then, really as the game kind of progressed and evolved, getting Carson in there, and he had a big run. Obviously, there's a lot to correct with him, but excited, for a first game for him. But overall, just excited for the group. And like I said, a lot to correct, which is great.
So how do you hit the ground running the next day? What is the next step for this team, you think, or at least the running back room?
Well, I think just go in, go in and look at the film honestly and really take an honest look at it and see, hey, what can we do better? Build on what we did well, and then get better at the things that we didn't do so well going into the next game. And there's a lot of stuff that we did well. Like I said, we established the line of scrimmage, particularly in the second half. But looking back, I know there's going to be some plays that we wish we had back and excited to make those corrections.
Absolutely. Behind that veteran offensive line, we saw a lot of the height and weight mismatches. We thought, after that first touchdown, Drew Plitt to the corner, we thought, we could run this up. And then, you guys were met with a little bit of challenge there. So what was the talk at halftime to get these guys back in shape for the second half?
Really just to go out and play Ball State football, a physical, downhill, in-your-face, smash-mouth football. And we did that. We did that particularly just coming off the first drive of the second half, established the line of scrimmage, and came off the ball with a physical nature. Our offensive line did an awesome job, both in the run game and in pass protection, allowing Drew and the receivers to make some big plays. So, we're excited kind of going into the next game.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Joey Hecklinski, the running backs coach, everybody. And we'll be right back with highlights and another interview from a player in just a minute. Don't go away.
Thank you.
What's in a story? From the first time we picked up a pencil, we were storytellers. Storytelling connects us as humans. It teaches us how to live by discovering how fellow human beings overcome. It initiates emotions that bind us to the world and people around us. A circular journey where the end is the beginning. Here, our story represents a path to elevate, educate, and empower students and athletes. Ball State SportsLink, developing the next generation of creative storytellers.
Victory Honda of Muncie. We're not just another car dealership, and here's why. We stand behind every car we sell and are dedicated to helping our customers save time and money. All our pre-owned cars undergo a rigorous 182-point inspection and come with a 90-day warranty to ensure that you're getting a Victory quality vehicle. Plus, you'll get 2 years of complimentary oil changes and tire rotations. We're part of a top 15 dealership group and have an enormous selection of vehicles with access to inventory at over 45 locations. You always get more for your trade and the best possible rates with us. We have an excellent relationship with hundreds of lenders. Our exclusive Car Doc maintenance and membership program will help you save hundreds of dollars in the process of maintaining your vehicle. Lastly, our state-of-the-art body shop and certified technicians perform high-quality repairs and paintwork on most vehicle makes and models. Victory Honda of Muncie. We're not just another car dealership.
To game day, post game. We just had Coach Hecklinski on, and we talked a lot about the running back rotation and what they like to see. Now, what did you see from up obviously in the press box? What did you see from those running backs that you like?
Well, I really saw a lot to like, and I think this Ball State coaching staff has to be incredibly pleased with what they saw. Once Ball State committed to the run in the second half, I know we talked about throughout those highlights how Ball State, it might have been a little bit more surprising to people how they came out and tried to pass the ball a little bit more against Western Illinois rather than impose their will on the grounds. But in that second half, when they started to run the ball, really good things happened. 216 yards on the ground, Hudson, on 40 attempts. And you mentioned it was a couple different guys. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how they split the carries with all these guys, because Will Jones had a great day, 93 yards. Carson Steele, 79 yards on the grounds. Donnie Marcus didn't get as many carries as those other two, but Marcus had 4 carries for 17 yards. So I really think a storyline throughout this season is going to be how they split carries, because remember, Ty Evans isn't even out there yet. And hopefully he gets healthy pretty soon, and then you have not just a 3-headed monster that we thought we'd see, but a four running backs in a great running back room for this Ball State team is going to give a lot of teams, especially in the Mid-American Conference, a lot of fits.
It kind of reminds me of a few years back when they had another loaded running back room, and Caleb Huntley wasn't even the main guy there. He was fresh on the scene. He was doing his thing, of course, 1,000 yards as a freshman, but he wasn't even that guy yet. So here I'm very eager to see how Ball State will continue to use these running backs. Carson Steele, I love how they weren't afraid to use him at any time, and it was just like he did his thing.
That's an excellent point. I know sometimes coaches express maybe a little bit more reluctancy in trying to give freshmen some snaps and some reps, but Carson Steele really rose to the occasion here tonight and really had himself about as good of a debut as you could possibly ask for. But I know in looking at a lot of these plays were in tackle too, in between the tackles and running it right through the teeth of the defense. And I think that's going to be a key for Ball State moving forward, is really relying on this terrific offensive line that they have and really just letting them do most of the work, because there were a lot of open holes and a lot of empty space for this running back group to really run through here, and it paid really a huge role in the second half.
I would concur. Well, it looks like we have Mike New up on the podium here for a press conference. Well, we'll take you right into there.
Yeah, when Carson showed up, obviously he was a winner in high school, come from a great program at Center Grove. He was Mr. Football in the state of Indiana, and when he showed up here, he knew how to practice. That's a credit to Coach Moore, to the Center Grove program. He knew how to practice, and he was physically ready to go. He put up, some very impressive numbers in the weight room once he arrived here on campus, and then quickly, I think he showed and earned the respect of his teammates on the practice field with how hard he was running. It's hard to go live all the time in training camp, but the live situations that we did have, Carson showed up every day. And so he's a great kid. He's super hard worker. He's one of those guys that, I knew, once he got his opportunities tonight, I knew he was going to run hard. It was good to see him break a couple, and it was good to see the guys up front on the offensive line give him some holes there to run through. And so we just got to keep going. Obviously the first thing he said, when the ball game was over, was, it was on him, and he was disappointed about the fumble. But, when you're a young player, that's the one thing they do is circle that on the depth chart, and they're going to make sure that your ball security is where it needs to be.
And my follow-up real quick, did it feel like that first half tonight, your guys just needed to get a couple quarters just to get out there and get at it, and it was after halftime that they really started to find it?
In a lot of ways, and I challenged our guys about 1 week ago when we first set out the process, you can't play the game back on your heels. You can't play not to lose. You got to be the aggressor. You got to have that same mindset when you're at the bottom, the way you fight, scratch, and claw. And so, in some ways we came out, I think everybody was ready to go, but until the ball was kicked off and it's actually a real football game, how are we going to settle into that? So great thing is, mature team, nobody panicked ever on the sideline. It was in complete control. Guys did a great job that way. But it wasn't our best first half of football, but we regrouped at halftime. We came back out, played better in the second half, but certainly a lot of things that we need to work on and clean up.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Next question, we'll go with Robbie.
Hey, Coach. It seems like in that second half, you guys came out and made a concerted effort to kind of run the ball. I mean, how big is establishing your guys' running game to get the ball in the hands of guys like Yo Hines and Justin and Jay Sean outside?
Yeah, it's a big time. The first half, I look at myself first. I didn't do a good job in the first half, to be honest with you. And I didn't commit enough. I didn't get the line of scrimmage established enough with our guys up front, because we got an awful good group of guys on the offensive line. So at halftime, obviously we talked in there, and we were going to go to a little bit heavier sets, play with 12 personnel and 21 personnel, and then just 2 receivers in the game. And we wanted to make sure we established the line of scrimmage and showed our physicality. And it was great to grind out a drive there to open up the second half. I think that really set the tone, and that was really important for us.
And then a quick follow-up too. Brandon Martin kind of came out of the game there, so I hit ice on his knee. You guys have any update on him at this point?
Yeah, no, just going to get him looked at tomorrow. We'll get get an exam on him tomorrow and just kind of see where that goes. I'm not 100% sure, other than knowing it was a knee and knowing that he was not going to be able to return. So we'll just have to see, what kind of information we can get tomorrow on him.
Ryan, I really like what Coach New had to say. He was very, admitted. He said, I didn't do a good enough job getting that line of scrimmage established. Those are a good group of guys we have there. And I think you called it perfectly. What did you think?
Well, I thought it was perfectly said, and I'm not surprised that he said that either. I think that in the first half, again, they were just trying to work kind of through some things that maybe they didn't like during camp, but I was just, again, really surprised the aggressiveness early on. And I do think it makes sense because I remember he referenced earlier on in that saying he was explaining to the guys, you can't play this game at half speed. And that would sort of make sense with the type of play calling that we saw in half number 1 with Ball State's willingness to kind of throw the football and really try to get those big plays against this Western Illinois team. But obviously when they established the run, like Coach New was talking about in the second half, that's when Ball State started to pull away, and I think they dominated the line of scrimmage, and that was ultimately the difference in the game, and I know we kind of thought that it would be.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Coach New was so open and honest about this, and of course he's a smart football guy, but when I was talking with Blaine Bishop earlier in the pregame show, he said, the main thing that brought his son here from Tennessee in the transfer was Mike New. Of course, they played together. They know what kind of guy he is, and he showed his true colors throughout that recruitment process. And I said, Blaine, is Mike New someone that you could see yourself playing for? Is that someone who you would like to play for? He said, oh, my gosh, yeah, are you kidding me? He said Mike New is just the perfect example of who he would like to play for as a coach, as a hard-hitting football guy.
And that's an excellent point, Hudson, because I think one thing that he said is he took accountability. He said, listen, the play calling, it wasn't my best, not establishing that line of scrimmage early on. And I think that's why these players respect him and love him so much, is because he's willing to take that accountability that a lot of other coaches might not. I know college football obviously has a sea of characters, but Coach New is obviously somebody who has been able to, from the day he got here, garner the respect of this team. And it's no secret or no surprise why these guys love playing for him.
Absolutely. It just shows the culture is building here. This confidence is building here. And I hope that the play calling, that they realize kind of in the second half transfers into next week against, of course, Penn State. They're going to have to really, really establish that run game if they want to get going. And
that's a very good point, too, is Penn State on the schedule next week in Happy Valley. That's going to be a really tough and interesting battle and a tough test for Ball State very early on in the season. Because I know we talked about establishing the ground game here tonight, and they did so in the second half. But against Penn State in a Big Ten defense, I don't know that you're going to be able to do that right off the bat. So it might be one of those cases where Ball State tries to work backwards, and you see their passing attack a little bit more than their running game early on in that game next week. But it will be really interesting to see sort of how next week looks, because Ball State, in terms of skill positions on offense, they're just about as good as anybody, not just in the MAC, but in really the entire FBS. They have so much experience, but the main part it always boils down to is this offensive line. Coach New knows it. I think the entire offense really knows that as a whole. This entire team knows that as well. So if this offensive line plays well throughout this season, like everybody knows they can, it's going to be another magical year for Ball State.
That was Coach Mike New we just heard from in his presser. We'll be right back after this commercial. Don't go away.
What's in a story? From the first time we picked up a pencil, we were storytellers. Storytelling connects us as humans. It teaches us how to live by discovering how fellow human beings overcome. It initiates emotions that bind us to the world and people around us. A circular journey where the end is the beginning. Here, our story represents a path to elevate, educate, and empower students and athletes. Ball State SportsLink, developing the next generation of creative storytellers.
Victory Honda of Muncie. We're not just another car dealership, and here's why. We stand behind every car we sell and are dedicated to helping our customers save time and money. All our pre-owned cars undergo a rigorous 182-point inspection and come with a 90-day warranty to ensure that you're getting a Victory quality vehicle. Plus, you'll get 2 years of complimentary oil changes and tire rotations. We're part of a top 15 dealership group and have an enormous selection of vehicles with access to inventory at over 45 locations. You always get more for your trade and the best possible rates with us. We have an excellent relationship with hundreds of lenders. Our exclusive Car Doc maintenance and membership program will help you save hundreds of dollars in the process of maintaining your vehicle. Lastly, our state-of-the-art body shop and certified technicians perform high-quality repairs and paintwork on most vehicle makes and models. Victory Honda of Muncie. We're not just another car dealership.
Welcome back in the Game Day post game. We are live here with Justin Hall, 137 yards receiving. Justin, how did it feel out there?
It just felt good to be back. Just blessed to be able to have this opportunity to run it back with my guys. It was a good turnout here in Schumann Stadium. We just got to get back in the film room and just get ready for the next game.
For sure. And, you're one of those super seniors, you know what I'm saying, as a lot of people are saying, but Ball State has a lot of those. What was your, kind of main reason for coming back, you think?
The chemistry and everything with this team. We brought back a lot of seniors, like you said. It's not too many times you can have, the same team coming back, and we just won MAC. So,
Absolutely.
And I feel like this team still has something to prove. We're still going to be the underdogs regardless, and I just feel like we just need to come back and just dominate.
What do you think kind of gave you fits in terms of the Western Illinois defense? Because, for the first half there, they were kind of hanging with you guys.
Yeah. We just got established and run, like Coach New said. They was kind of, I wouldn't say they were clamping us, but they were stacking that box. But the second half, we came back with that intensity that I was talking about. And that really showed. We played harder than they played harder than us the first half. I'll say that.
Sure.
And we came out the second half. We played Ball State football. What the coaches stress and what the coaches teach us. Yes, sir.
And so, we saw obviously, Carson Steele kind of opened that game up a little bit, and that boy went crazy in high school, of course.
That's my boy.
And, they had the kind of rotation, and, we still don't have Ty Evans. So
yeah. I'm
I'm excited to see this running game, but I think it opens up a lot of options for you guys on offense. Do you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, we got so many good, talented running backs in the backfield. Donnie Marcus coming out. He stepped up big time last year when Kalen went down right after Ty and Will. We have injuries in the backfield. But, it's next man up mentality, and every guy back there is ready. So, I have full confidence and trust in him.
So, in the passing game, obviously, you guys brought in Jay Sean Jackson. How big has he been, how big of an addition has he been to this wide receiver corps?
Oh, yeah, Jay Sean, my guy. He's just he's the best route runner we have on the team, hands down. I'll say that. I'm a wide out, and I'm a competitor.
Really?
I'll say that. Jay Sean, he just brings. He made me want to compete even more. Coming back, I could easily be comfortable, but we have another wide out coming from Cincinnati, a higher program.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying? So. Just him coming here, we just ready to compete, and he's going to make a big impact this season. You'll see Jay Sean going to make a lot of plays for us this season.
Is he more of the vocal leader or, just kind of a lead-by-example guy?
More a lead-by-example guy.
Sure.
But, we all got a great relationship, us as wideouts, and I just feel like he's going to be a great fit for us.
Absolutely. All right, last thing before we go here. What is the next step for you guys? Coach Hecklinski talked about there's just so much that we need to improve, he said.
Yeah.
What do you think is the next step for, the offense, I'll say?
It's just the little things. We just got to come and execute as we did in practice, bring it to the game field. Like I said, we just got to get back to that film room. We just got to we got a lot of work to do. This is on to the next game. I'm not too worried about this game, so I'm just worried about the next opponent we have, and I think that's Penn State. So.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Running back is the motto, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Running back is the motto.
Got to.
For Sports Link Game Day post game, I'm Hudson French, your host, alongside Justin Hall, 137 yards on the game. Thank you so much for joining us. Signing off. You guys have a good night.
Appreciate you.